What's going on, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here, and it is Tuesday, so that means we're taking an advanced look at some of these collected editions coming out from Marvel this week. So let's go ahead and get started. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these collected editions. These books are due out in the direct market on August 25th, and then a couple of weeks later in the book market. If you don't want any spoilers, don't even want to know what the inside artwork looks like, or you're not curious about one of these books, check out the description of the video, which has our timestamps on there, and you can just jump around to look at the books that you are curious about. And while you're down there, check out our Patreon and our spread shop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And thank you to our existing patrons. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with this graphic novel right here, The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Kicking off this week with The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Squirrels just want to have fun. Guess that's a take on the classic Madonna song. Just kidding. I know it's Debbie Gibson. Gosh, I grew up in the 80s, guys. And that is called dangling fruit. I do that to my wife all the time. See, if you act dumb and you have somebody corrects you, they makes them feel really good and special. But anyway, this is The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and this is collecting issues 12 through 22. And it is the graphic novel size, so the dimensions of it are a little bit smaller than your trade paperback. Let's look at a side view here, so you can get a better look at how much smaller it is. But it's also cheaper. These are $12.99. So here we have Ryan North and Erica Henderson come back for this particular character. But for the anniversary issue, there's actually somebody that joins Ryan North on the writing, and that is Will Murray, who's the co-creator of Squirrel Girl, along with, of course, the legendary Steve Ditko. So this all takes place while she's still up in Canada, visiting family, northern Canada, and makes her way south. There is a surprising return of an Avengers villain that, honestly, I had forgotten about until I read this, and I was thinking, man, that guy looks familiar. Where is that character from? Yeah, sure enough, it was an Avengers character. He makes a surprising return, but most of it, there is a really funny issue in here. And I will say this about Squirrel Girl. I was never a fan of this series. I tried the first trade paperback. My daughter, Lydia, Miss Lydia, actually enjoyed it more than I did. So, you know, more power to her. There are books that I enjoy that I'm sure she's going to hate, and that's the beauty of this medium. There's something out there for everybody. Well, I read this because she had read it and told me that she thinks I might enjoy this. And there is one issue that kind of won me over, and I fought it. I was like, okay, this is actually quirky and funny, and it kind of reminds me of Dan Slott's run on She-Hulk, and it's this issue right here. This is the cat issue. It's The Unbeatable Mew, sorry. And it's about Taskmaster getting taken out by her cat. That's what this is. This is told from the cat's perspective. Much like the Lucky issue in Hawkeye, very similar to that, but I think it's cuter. It's a little more whimsical, if you will. And I really enjoy this, so I can kind of see now what people find endearing about this series. Still not the biggest fan of the artwork, but hey, I get it, you know, it's not for everybody, but there are tons of fans of the series, and I know, and that is one thing I was going to say, the variant covers are collected sometime on the opposite side of the standard edition covers, or the regular covers rather. I do like this right here. This is like a Twitter feed. Hey, yeah, I got you. I know what I'm talking about. So each issue has like a recap of what she's doing, where she's been, and kind of catches you up to speed in a confusing way sometimes, but it is like, you know, I get it. Yeah, that's why they're doing it. It's a Twitter feed. The book, like I mentioned, is $12.99, and it has 224 pages. So this one here, honestly, is geared... Oh, she does get a flying suit here. So now she's the ungroundable Squirrel Girl. And this was given to her by somebody that wants to remain a mystery. I can kind of see why kids like this series, though. It feels like this is something like... honestly, like, probably 4th, 5th grade. Because I remember when Lydia read the first one, she was in the 3rd grade, and she really liked it. And then now she's in the, oh my gosh, she's in the 7th grade. Oh man, where does the time go? But anyway, and she still thinks it's funny, it's quirky, and she's the one that told me to read it, because I asked her to join me for this, but she's got a ton of homework, because my kid's in the this gifted program at school. So good for her. Bad for me. I'm losing a co-worker. Well, no, she'll be back for reviews and stuff. But anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Cyndi Lauper. Of course I know who sings Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I just like irritating people. So that way you're going throughout the video going, man, that guy's an idiot. He doesn't know Girls Just Want to Have Fun is Cyndi Lauper. He doesn't remember the video. Anyway, I do. I grew up in the 80s. Just like irritating people. Mainly my wife. But anyway, this is the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. No extras in the back. Now, I did an overview of the Knights of the Old Republic Omnibus. I had never read that stuff, and I was hooked. I wanted to keep reading about those characters. So this is Marvel's new series called The High Republic. There have been books without pictures, one written by Charles Soule. There is a adventure book that's published by IDW, I think, that's geared more towards kids. There's the comic book, and I think there's a total of 3 or 4 books already in the first wave. But this is the first wave of the comic book. And here's the timeline right here, the High Republic. So this all takes place before the movies. And here's just a little blurb about how the Republic is just kind of overreaching itself. And they have this brand new station called the Starlight Beacon, which brings in some problems. So, I'm serious. I really enjoyed this. I don't know if it's because I've been on a Star Wars kick and I find the stuff from the past so much more enjoyable than the actual canon things from the movies that have happened. Maybe I'm burned out on Star Wars movies. I don't know. But I've been having fun with the comic books. Can't wait for that Rise of the Sith omnibus. But this was really fun. I really enjoyed this. Now, Wonder Maddie's the one that told me about this series. She had read the books, and she kind of told me a little bit about this. Apparently, this guy right here, Screet, he appeared and lost an arm in one of the books. That's all I know. I haven't read the books, and I still found this really enjoyable. So this is all about this young Padawan right here, and her name is Keeve Trennis. And she's facing these challenges to try to become a Jedi Knight. And of course her master is this guy I was pointing to earlier, Skier. Now, apparently there are other characters from not just the shows, but also the books that appear through here. So this kind of brings everything together for the High Republic. So this right here is Avar Kriss, and she becomes the marshal of this Starlight Beacon, this space station that's out there. Then we get little characters right here, little Easter eggs. There's more in here, don't worry. This isn't much of a spoiler. Keeve becomes a Jedi Knight, but for some reason Skier, her master, isn't happy about her becoming a Jedi. And that's what kind of kept me reading. This was definitely a page turner, and I wanted to know more. And I want to know more because this damn book ends on a cliffhanger at the very end. So see what I mean? Why is he distraught? I don't know if something happened to him in the past books, but I'm willing to find out. So then we meet these two twins right here, Sarid and Tarek. Kind of reminds me of Zamod and Tomax from G.I. Joe, but they're telepaths. And they go on a separate mission where these plant-like creatures start attacking them and invading their body and taking over their body. And eventually they start spreading out. This is really cool because these creatures were hiding out in this dead body of this hut. So when the body bursts open, these creatures start coming out and taking over these characters' bodies. Awesome! Man, this, and the artwork here is freaking phenomenal. This is Audio Anindito, I believe is how you say his name. But all of this is written by Cavan Scott. That is who the writer is for this particular series. I love the colors, and I love the inks. I believe the inks are done by Morales, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I'm digging this series and I want to read more. Like I mentioned, it could be because I want to take a break from the Star Wars movies and enjoy things from the past. I like this era of the Jedi. I like how cocky they are. I like that they're expanding out into this universe, and that's kind of what this is about. This is about the Republic and the Jedi just going out there into the outskirts of the galaxies that have not been explored. And they're kind of running into people and folk, I said people, but creatures that are not fond of the Jedi. Love it. So of course there is some resistance on the other side accepting all of this. As far as the extras in this particular book, a couple covers, but they are spoilers, so I don't want to ruin that for anybody, but here's some variants. The book retails for $15.99 and has 120 pages. And here's ads for the other Star Wars books, and of course the High Republic books, or I think the High Republic books, yeah, right here. This is the High Republic books. So this is collects issues 1 through 6 of the High Republic comics. Venom, King in Black. This is it. This is the final Donny Cates trade paperback collecting Donny Cates run on Venom. And it's just the King in Black, volume number 6. Here's what the back cover looks like. And I'm going to be really quick on this one because I don't want to spoil this for anybody. But this just collects issues 31 through 35 of Venom. And 35, of course, goes back to the legacy number of 200. So this all takes place during the King in Black crossover. Do you need to read the King in Black to understand what's going on in the pages of Venom? Absolutely, because there are things happening within these pages that you're going to be lost. And I don't want anybody to be lost because you have to have gone back and read King in Black. We do have some returning characters that first appeared throughout these pages. There are some returning Spider-Man characters that I did not see coming. This first issue, issue 31, is just a drop. That's all I'm going to say. Man, and I kind of like the way that it's done. By the way, the artwork here is mainly done by Iban Coelho. Later on, the issue 35 or issue 200, the legacy number, is done by a bunch of artists that have worked on Venom in the past, including Ryan Stegman, who helped put this book on the map. So, before you even ask, is this going to be collected in some kind of omnibus format? I haven't heard, honestly. And really, before a Venomnibus by Donny Cates, I would like to see a Venomnibus Volume 4 with Agent Venomnibus, or the stuff by Colin Bunn or Mike Costa. But the artwork in this is awesome. Here, I'm just going to flip through some more pages back here. I love the way he draws Venom. He's huge, bulky. Now, we've seen an official announcement from Marvel Comics saying that Venom will continue, but it's going to get a creative team and a new number. It's going to be Al Ewing and Brian Hitch. We've seen the pictures of the new Venom costume. And this does end, and the way this ends does lead into that series. So, pretty cool. I like where this ends. I like that it continues, and you can find out for yourself how the story of Venom continues. My job here is just to show off some of this Iban Coelho artwork. Love the way he draws Venom. I think I said that already. Alright, now in the back, there's a bunch of extras. I love the fact that all the variants are collected back here in a splash page. The cover gallery here of every single issue of Venom that leads, of course, into the 200th issue. And here is your variant covers. And I'm being careful to skip any of the ones spoiling anything. Sometimes there's just artwork. My wife just picked that up when we went to the free comic book day. We were in Cincinnati. Love that cover by Patrick Gleason. Humberto Ramos right there. That was Jock. I thought for a minute that was Sam Keith, but that is Jock. Should have known by that. Those little. Oh, and his signature, of course. Love that cover. And Spider-Man's had a similar cover like that. And then just some more splash pages. This one here is by Jeffrey Scott Campbell. That's what I thought. This book has 192 pages and retails for $17.99. For all you spine watchers out there, here is what all this week's spines look like. Well, with the exception of the reprint of Fantastic Four, World's Greatest. But here are what the rest of the books look like coming out this week. Now, there are 2 Marvel Epic collections coming out this week. This one here, Fantastic Four volume, I believe this one is volume 7, Battle of the Behemoths, and a reprint of volume 1, World's Greatest magazine. But Marvel didn't send me that, and nor do I have it because I got rid of it when I ended up getting the omnibus. But here is Epic Collection volume 7, collecting issues 105 to 125 and annuals 8 and 9, which are just the covers, because those were just reprints. So the material in here I'll be covering soon again in omnibus format with volume 4 of Fantastic Four. And the material in here is the post-Kirby years. And Stan Lee's final issue of Fantastic Four, well, he leaves and then comes back, but anyway, is in this particular collection. Now, to me, this era of Fantastic Four feels interesting because it feels like Jack Kirby left and the heart of the Fantastic Four left with him. We have wonderful artwork by John Romita, and then we have Big John Buscema step in. However, some of his art looks like he's trying to mimic Jack Kirby, and I think that might be because of the inker, of course. It could be done on purpose, but I'll show you what I mean here in a few minutes. But it's not just the art. The art is actually the great thing about this collection. It's mainly the stories. For Stan Lee, I think he was just getting bored of this particular comic. I think he was just done with the Fantastic Four, because he started recycling a lot of his old stories, and you'll see what I mean when I flip through these pages. But this right here, Big John Buscema, with inks by Joe Sinnott, who is an amazing inker and inked a lot of the stuff by Jack Kirby. But it looks like the finish is here, and I'm sure it probably was editorial. You know, he was told to make it look like Jack. And there's even a splash page here that just screams Jack Kirby, but it's Big John. Now, Stan Lee, like I mentioned, recycling some storylines that we've already seen, including the big fight with the Hulk, which is the cover here. And then Archie Goodwin steps in. He becomes a scripter for a while, and then eventually takes over the book, takes over the plot of the book. This issue right here, 112, the big fight of the Hulk and the Thing. They fought before, and this one here kind of falls short of those first fights. We do have an awesome story in here where Doctor Doom teams up with the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards goes evil. Probably the last time we see that, huh? Maybe. But anyway, the Watcher makes a return, but he's not the only character that comes back. But yes, eventually Stan Lee ends up leaving the book and just becomes editor. I think that was the other thing too. Is the man was super busy. He was, writing a bunch of other books, and then eventually became editor of every single book, editor-in-chief, and then he started having other editors take over books. Because at one time, Roy Thomas was editing everything too. So yeah, this issue right here, 116, freaking awesome. But this era, like I was saying, is interesting because I hear so many people hate on 90s era, right? Like everybody's like, oh, Boob Window is so horrible, when I always think of Tom DeFalco as one of the best runs of Fantastic Four. Or even the 80s gets some hate. But it seems like this era is just so up there on so many people's pedestal that they're afraid to say what they really feel about this particular book. I'm not saying it's bad. As a matter of fact, if you've never read this stuff, it's pretty fun. But if you're reading this right after you've read Epic Collection Volume 6, you will immediately notice a dip in the storytelling. And it's odd that it's not brought up as often as I thought it would be, as, not the best stories of the Fantastic Four. Because even when Stan Lee comes back, we get the introduction of a new character. What's his name? Gabriel, the Airwalker. And he comes back, this guy right here, as a new herald of someone else. So Galactus gets to come back. That's cool. We get a new herald, but it's things like that we've seen before. Still fun though. I mean, the guy could get away with it. He's the guy that created Silver Surfer and Galactus. Love that picture right there by Big John. And just showcasing some of the artwork. Diablo makes another return here, but I think I want to say the only character that makes his first appearance here is this guy right here, the Airwalker, the Herald of Galactus. As far as the extras in the back, we do have the Return of the Monster. I'm flipping through here as I go back. This is a two-parter written by Stan Lee, another character he introduced earlier, and this is what the covers look like. So the king-size specials, these were the annuals, were just reprints. Like this was a reprint of annual number 1, and then this is a reprint of Fantastic Four 43 and annual number 3. So it's things we've seen before. Here's original artwork by John Romita, and John Romita again. Artwork here by Big John Buscema. Do like that cover. There's an issue here where the Thing is wearing sandals. And this apparently had a printer error. Yeah, right here. So there was a limited run of issue 110, the cover looking like this. And apparently copies went out with this cyan and magenta colors dominating it, creating this really creepy looking cover, when the original cover is supposed to look like this, just the characters in their original color, including Agatha Harkness there. So maybe it was Agatha all along. Some more original artwork here, and then Marvel Selects Fantastic Four. These are reprints of the Fantastic Four, reprinting different issues from different eras. So like this is issue 108, 109, and the covers are all done and provided by Alan Davis. The book retails for $39.99. and has 472 pages. I did like this storyline here, even though the ending, you'll see when you read it, with what's his name, Overmind? Yeah, this guy right here. Alright, let's go to the next book, with this book right here, with this freaking awesome cover. I remember buying this issue right here, this cover, finding it at a comic store, because the Black Knight was one of my favorite characters. So I had bought issue 225 and 223, which is also in here. I remember saving money. I wasn't an Avengers kid, just showcasing what the book looks like underneath the dust jacket. But this is the Marvel Masterworks, The Avengers, Volume 21. Here are some of the covers, and there it is. That's the other book that I bought, because, man, I love that cover. And I remember buying it with this one here because I wanted to know about the Avengers. I wanted to get to know more about them. I became a Black Knight fan. It was during the early days of Bob Harris's run on Avengers. I wasn't buying Avengers on a monthly basis until, for some reason, it was right before the leather jackets. Here's your introduction here by Jim Salicrup, who was the editor at the time. And then this is really interesting because he talks about getting fired from the book and who took over the book. And of course, the editor was Mark Grunwald. And then he also talks about, how much Mark cared about these characters, how real they were to him, and how much Mark cared about his co-workers. That was a beautiful little tribute. Anytime you ever hear anybody or you're reading about Mark Grunwald, it's always the kindest words. But in here, you will get issues of the Avengers, 217 to 226, annual number 11, the Vision Scarlet Witch 1 through 4, and then you have the story in the back of the Marvel Fanfare number 3. It's the Hawkeye story. And man, you start off with a real rough and dark issue right here with Hank Pym. So this is the beginning of the downfall of Hank Pym. I know it's been coming, but this is one of the stories that a lot of people talk about. One of them, of Hank Pym, just turning towards the dark side. And it's one of my favorite things about the Avengers. And of course, Egghead right here. Character nobody took seriously, but this is a pretty interesting take on the character and what he's able to do with Hank. And Hank gets done dirty, especially in issue 224. Man, that's wrong, especially what Tony Stark does. You do have the return of Moondragon and Drax and a couple of other characters. You do have the death of a character, but do they stay dead? I don't know. There's this odd thing happening here between Moondragon and Thor during these issues. Nebulon makes a return here. This is annual number 11. Let's keep going here because I did want to showcase some other artwork. And speaking of artwork, most of it done by Bob Hall and Greg LaRocque. And the writing. It's the other thing I forgot to mention was mainly Jim Shooter, James DeMatteis, David Michelinie, Bill Mantlo. And Bill Mantlo had been writing the Avengers. Love this issue right here. And yes, all its glory, the cover is intact. Including my man right there, the Space Knight. Makes it on a Marvel Masterwork. Love it. Love when they do that. One day, who knows? Romnibus, baby. But this is a really cool issue because this is the issue where She-Hulk and Hawkeye end up joining the Avengers. And get the return of Taskmaster and a few villains. And this is the issue I was talking about. And this is another one of the downfall of Yellow Jacket. So something bad happens to Yellow Jacket, and of course issue 217. But I think this one here is still a bigger smack to the face to the character. And I'm using that term on purpose, of course, because of the things that people have seen. But hey, if you've read Avengers Forever, you know that crap has been retconned. And it makes sense. One of my favorite, one of the best books out there, Avengers Forever, written by Kurt Busiek and Carlos Pacheco. His artwork is just stunning on that. But yeah, this issue right here, man, I think they did the character dirty. This one is written by Jim Shooter, who was writing the issues of Avengers, and he was taking over becoming editor too. So the job was kind of hard on him, so he couldn't keep a monthly schedule, so there were a lot of fill-in writers. Just like in the previous volume, it seems like when you get a creative team together, things start falling apart. Then you get issue 225. And I remember as a kid being upset because the Black Knight barely shows up in this. I remember him sneaking in going, wait, have you forgotten about me? The Black Knight? And then he takes him on to an adventure. And I never did get the next issue. until I think years later when I was trying to get all the Avengers. So I didn't get to read it because back then there weren't collected editions. I mean, to this day, this stuff hasn't been previously collected. Well, this particular story has Vision and Scarlet Witch, but I mean, those issues of Avengers haven't been really collected in trade paperback. It's the first time a lot of those have been in collected edition in this particular masterwork. But yes, Vision and Scarlet Witch, the 4-issue miniseries here, written by Bill Mantlo, artwork by a young Rick Leonardi. So a lot of these stories in here were used for the WandaVision story. Or we thought we were going to get a bunch of those. Instead, we just got a bunch of Easter eggs. But hey, can't win them all. And then we get, yes, right here, the Hawkeye story from Marvel Fanfare number 3. And let's look at the extras. So here are the extras. We have a Fantastic Four roast from Fred Hembeck, starring a bunch of the Avengers during this time. This Avengers Chronicles, this is by George Perez from 1982. Wow, look at those colors. And then, of course, the biographies. And some of these folks are no longer with us. But love that they add those in here. That's one thing I think I'm missing from the Omnis. You know, they do it on the actual dust jacket flaps, but they don't do it like in the back of the book. And then other Marvel Masterworks. The book retails for $75, and this particular volume has 380 pages. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely in an excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for your Minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these collected editions. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're picking up, which ones you're waiting for an omnibus or an oversized hardcover. Come on. I don't know, but I think before we get a Donny Cates omnibus, we're going to get some Venom Omnibus Volume 4. And, of course, if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Patreon and on Spreadshop, amazing ways to support the channel. And more importantly, everyone, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.